What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, Veteran Angler, where we fish more with less. And yes, the title of this video is correct. My complete tournament rod and reel collection cost a total of less than $1,000, well under $1,000. And I got some notes. I'm gonna go through what I paid for each reel. That was really easy to look up because I think they all came off Amazon. So. And my rods, I know even got tags off some of the rods. I know what all my rods cost. So I'm gonna break down each one and show you what I got and why I use them, why I have them. You don't have to have a Shimano SLX or a Curado reel on a bunch of G Loomis rods. Would I like that? Yeah, I'd love that for sure. I'm a bass fisherman. I'm a tackle junkie, right? You have to be if you're a bass fisherman, kind of, or any kind of fisherman. And that's kind of the reason that my whole setup here is less than $1,000. I'm also a fly fisherman, and I have, I don't know, 6 or 8 fly rods and reels as well. And I got some salmon rods, and I got a dirt bike, and I'm into a million different things. So you got to pick and choose. I make it work with these Amazon reels and kind of big box store rods. Like I said, I would love some G Loomis or any other, name your high-end brand. I would love it, but this is what I got, and I make it work. And I keep saying G Loomis because coming from the fly fishing world, G Loomis rods are super high-end and highly regarded for fly rods. And Shimano SLX, because I see those everywhere and I just want one. I don't have one. But if I were to have those, I might have 2 or 1 and then none of the rest. One G Loomis with an SLX is going to cost more than my entire setup, or 2 of them definitely will. A little less quality in my rods and reels. I can fish more, meaning I can, jig, wacky, jig, frog, Texas rig, what's this, spinner bait, crankbait. The more options of bait you have to throw in the water, the more chances of success you have, honestly. That's what I mean, fish more with less. Yeah, it's not the highest quality stuff, but I make it work and I catch a ton of fish, and I'm gonna tournament fish with this stuff. So I wrote down a total cost breakdown for rods and reels. Pretty easy to do. 90% of the reels came off Amazon, and the rods all came from a local sporting goods store. I just want to give you a quick background into my bass fishing career, which is not very old at all. My son was in 8th grade, coming up on the summer, and we were locked down because of that virus. And I was dragging him all over the rivers, all over northern Michigan, and we were fly fishing, steelheading, catching big brown trout and everything. And he wanted to bass fish, and I was like, we're not bass fishermen. But so I took him out bass fishing. I went and bought a couple baits. I had, up to this point in my fishing life, I remember going bass fishing intentionally once with a buddy. He had a bait casting rod and reel, a cheap combo he bought. I watched him blow that bait casting reel up 500 times while we were out there. And he showed me how to Texas rig. And up to the point of where my son wanted to go out bass fishing, I had caught maybe 10 bass in my life, and that's a high estimate. 3 of them were probably intentional when I was out with my buddy trying to catch fish, and the other 7 were just random accidents at some point. Like literally up until the spring of 2020, I had caught maybe 10 bass. So my son wanted to go bass fishing, so I was like, fine, we'll go bass fishing. You've been fly fishing all over the state and country with me. So we went and bought a cheap rod and reel. I had some spinning rods and reels, but they were bigger for salmon and steelhead and stuff. So I went and bought a cheap rod and reel combo, couple baits, and we went out to this little local lake. And it happened to be during the spawn, and oh my gosh. We were catching, out of my canoe, that is in my other videos, that canoe right there. We were catching, combined with him and I, 30, 50, 70 fish each time we went out. Big old smallies and largemouth. And I was like, what in the world is this? And I've watched bass fishing tournaments and stuff, and I'm not naive to it. I'm a fisherman. I love fly fishing. From that first time we went out, I was addicted. And so, yeah, that started my bass obsession. I think I bass fish more and like bass fishing more than fly fishing. That's hard to admit. But I've never tournament fly fished. I'm getting ready to start the season tournament bass fishing, so if that tells you anything. Not that I think I'm that good. I just really love bass fishing, and I love watching all the tournament kayak bass fishing videos and boat fishing, but the kayak because that's doable for me. I'm not going to get an $80,000 bass boat. So moving on, son's like, well, I want to get a bait caster. And I was like, ah. And I'm thinking back to my buddy that I watched blow up that bait caster over and over. And I was like, why would you use that? You know, I had some cheap spinning rod and reel back then when I was out fishing with my buddy. And so my son saved up and he bought this Abu Garcia Black Max and Vigilante 2.0. He saved up and bought that. And he figured out how to, he watched videos and he figured out how to use it around the yard and stuff. And I watched him use that on the lake for, I don't know, a week or two. And I was like, man, there's something to that bait casting setup. So for like a weekend, I watched videos and I just casted this cheap Abu Garcia Black Max rod and reel around the yard. And I don't know, since then on, I don't even want to touch a spinning rod. That's why this year I just started getting some BFS, lightweight stuff, just so I can throw a wacky rig without having to throw it on a spinning rod. I can throw it on a bait caster. So, yeah, that's what started all this in my bass fishing career. 5 years now? It's not been that long. Been life-changing for me. Obviously, I got a YouTube channel dedicated to bass fishing. So, all right. So, anyways, I'm gonna run through a breakdown of each reel, what I paid, and then each rod, what I paid. And like I said, this was my son's. He saved up and bought it, but I'll include this in the total cost of my tournament setup because I still use this. This is my jerkbait rod. Whatever, it works. So I'm just going to go right down the line, kind of in the order that I got them, and I'm just going to go, I'll go reels first. So on this Daiwa G-Shock rod, I have a 13 Fishing Creed Chrome. I got that, I got a gift certificate, Tackle Warehouse or something, and I was like, I'm getting into this bass fishing. I need a serious reel. That was a serious reel for me. So that was $49.99. And I had a rod also, a 13 fishing rod, but I broke that, so I just slapped it on this cheap $14.99 rod. So there's that. And then, like I said, this was my son's. He bought this, but it was a $99 combo rod and reel, and so he paid $49.99 for the reel. This one is the Lew's American Hero Speed Stick. That was a combo I got, and the rod itself, they had them right next to the combos. They just had the rods themselves. The rods were $89.99. But if you wanted the rod and reel, it was $99.99. So I paid $10 for this reel. So moving on. This was actually, it's kind of, I guess it's out of order. This was the first bait casting reel that I personally bought. That should go there. I went back on my Amazon account and I was shocked at how much I actually paid for this. And it really messed my numbers up, made them go up. So this is a KastKing Royal Legend Elite, and I paid $77.99 for that. Big spender. I already covered that. That was out of order. Then this is, now I go really crazy here, Piscifun Torrent, and that was $25.22 for that reel. Piscifun Torrent 2, and I paid a whopping $32.99 for that. My new BFS reel, this is a KastKing Zephyr, and I just got this. I paid $59.99. And then a KastKing Royal Legend 2, and I paid $33.94 for that one. Amazon, 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 Amazon. All those. My total reel cost for everything you see here, just the reels, $340.11. Most guys that tournament fish, or a lot of guys, have one reel that costs more than that. So, just saying. Moving on to the rods themselves. Like I said, the old Daiwa D-Shock, $19.99 on sale for $14.99. That was a combo with a reel. So $14.99 there. The Abu Garcia Vigilante was actually $42.28. Lew's Speed Stick, like I told you, they had just the rod for $89.99 or the combo for $99.99. So $89.99 for that rod. Now these three here, these are my high-end, like, I was excited to get these ones, like an actual name rod. I watched Tactical Bassin, and this made one of their lists, Christmas list or something, a couple years ago. So I was like, whoa, those guys are saying, I don't know, I'm a sucker. So I went and bought these. These are Dobyns Colt Series, $79 a piece, 80 bucks. And they come with a warranty, and I actually used it once. I snapped one, and $30, and I just went back to the store. I didn't have a receipt or anything. Filled out the form, paid the 30 bucks, and they gave me a new one. And I love it. I've never fished any other bait casting rod and reel at all than what you see here. So I don't know what like a G Loomis actually would feel like or anything better. But these, I definitely feel the difference in quality of these over my other selection of rods. Definitely. And I like them. I have no problem with the Dobyns Colt Series. So there's three of those at $79.99 a piece. They're just different weights and stuff. And now we come to these ones, and I'm excited for these ones this year. Found this deal the other day at my local sporting goods store, and this kind of got me excited because I'm a fly fisherman, and I do have a TFO fly rod, and I really like it. It's a pretty nice fly rod. I mean, obviously all my fly rods aren't high end either because I have a bunch, but TFO makes a good fly rod, so I was really excited to find these on sale the other day. I'm going to show you the price. This is a phenomenal price, I think. Marked down from $129.99 to $39.99 for TFO. Now, I'm sure you saw on there it says professional walleye. Yeah, it says it on the rod also. TFO professional walleye. But fortunately, bass can't read. So I'm not too worried about that. I think they'll still catch bass. I'm not sure if they only catch walleye. It's a 7-foot, medium light, medium fast action. Just because it says walleye isn't gonna affect me bass fishing with it. This one's a 7'6", medium fast action. Yeah, it says walleye on it, professional walleye, but that doesn't matter. Bass can't read, and I can barely read. So to get any TFO for $39.99 is, I'm hoping, phenomenal, just because coming from the fly fishing world, I know TFO makes pretty good fly rod. So I got two of those at $39.99. So my total rod cost for all my rods is $467.21. So grand total, rod and reels, what you're seeing here is $807.32. That's one rod and reel for a pro. I mean, I'm not a pro, but for a lot of guys, I mean, that's nothing for one setup. And this is my total tournament setup. So that's the other thing, man. If I see some kid somewhere and he needs a rod, I'm not going to have any problem going, here you go. I don't care. I'm going to think twice, honestly, if it's a G Loomis with a Corrado reel. Just, I'm a human. But with this, I'll hook you up. Heck. So fishing more with less, yeah, it can be done. Can you be competitive? I catch a ton of fish. Can I be competitive in tournaments? I don't know. I'm about to find that out for sure. But so I definitely skimp on my rods, but where I don't skimp is my line. If you're gonna skimp, skimp elsewhere. Don't skimp on your line. I use Maxima fluorocarbon in Seeger and Vizex. I think that's pretty much on all these. I have one rod left with braid that I've kind of gone away from braid completely. Don't have to worry about the knots. And I was a mountaineering instructor for the Army in Alaska. I know knots, okay? And I can learn knots and I tie knots. Just out on the water, trying to hurry up and get back in there, get back in the game fishing. I don't want to deal with knots. So other than tying my bait on, I learned my line lesson in fly fishing for my leaders and my tippets. When I went from a cheaper line to a high-end fluorocarbon, in fly fishing, you can really feel the difference. Right away, it was noticeable to me. I knew that I was like, this is way higher quality line. I could totally tell instantly. So when I came over to the bass fishing world, that's the one thing I definitely brought with me, is not skimping on my line, because that's your link to the fish. And obviously, you got your rod, reel, and your knots and everything in your hook. But if you're gonna have a failure, it's gonna be in your line. So don't skimp on the line. All right, everyone, that's all. I just wanted to give you a quick background of my bass fishing history and what I use and what I have for gear. And just wanted to show you that you can tournament fish with less. You can fish more with less. And I'm not saying you won't ever see a G Loomis sitting up here with an SLX on it. Thanks for watching. Till next time.